and welcome to our Thursday night Anamkara meditation program. With all my heart and with all my love, I welcome you to our program tonight. So thank you for coming, and thank you for being ones who do these practices and have a commitment to practice. And that means you're living it into the world and helping to transform the world. In each and every place you are, visit, you're bringing that presence. The presence that really the practices open our awareness to more and more fully, so we can really dwell in that, abide in that, and walk it effortlessly into the world. So thank you. Thank you for bringing the power of your commitment and practices and your divine presence to our program this evening. So tonight is the last Thursday of the month, so this is a night when we usually do the Heart Sutra. And so we'll be doing that chant in a few minutes. But we're going to start with the opening mantras. Again, drawing on the power of chant, the power of mantra, the sound form of the infinite, to help shift our awareness away from all the content of the mind. The mind considers its content very important. And so it's always examining it and comparing, contrasting. Think about this, think about the future, think about the past. So much content. And it needs a break. So we give it a break. And chanting these opening mantras and doing the practices is a way of both easing the mind, inviting it to dissolve into the divine embrace. That's the embrace of the stillness, the boundlessness of being. That is really the root support of the mind. There would be no mind without that. But the mind only comes to rest when it comes to rest in that stillness in silence. That's what the ancient sages said, that the deep sleep state, that awareness of nothingness, when we've done nothing, consumed nothing, yet we wake up feeling refreshed. It's because it's in that stillness we come so close to knowing, but we're unconscious. So through the practices, we get to merge into that stillness and know it, and then come back filled with its blessings. So we'll start with the opening mantras. Shri Mata Kali Devi Ki Jai Gajananam Bhuta Ganari Sevitam Kapita Jambo Palacharu Bhakshanam Umasutam Shokam Vinashakarakam Namami Vigneshwara Parapankajam Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Shri Ganeshaya Namaha Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamandaya Purnamevavashishate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Mata Kali Mahadevi Ki Jai. So once again, with all my heart, I welcome you to our program this evening. So tonight we get to spend time with Buddha and Buddha's teachings. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about this evening before we get to the Heart Sutra is a set of teachings that one of the first times I encountered it was many years ago on a retreat with His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. And he talked about the 5 remembrances. And the 5 remembrances are a practice. And he was talking about how he started doing that as a practice as far back as he could basically remember. Like when he began speaking. He said it was a traditional practice in Tibet, and typically done 3 times a day, sometimes more, sometimes less, but that was the tradition of it. And the 5 remembrances, well, they're a way of helping the mind, right? So when we're doing the Heart Sutra is about going into the absolute, right? The absolute stillness, the absolute awareness, beyond thought, beyond forms, beyond everything, right? And going into that is cutting through the root of suffering, the ignorance, that we're ignorant of our true boundless nature as pure consciousness, pure awareness that embraces, suffuses everything. So it's a way and a practice of leaving everything behind. And when you enter that state, that's the state that then Buddha talked about experiencing the 4 immeasurables, the boundless compassion, the boundless joy, the boundless wisdom, the boundless steadiness, equanimity. It suffuses that state, right? However, there are also teachings and practices that in a sense are more aimed at the ordinary mind, of helping the mind. So helping the mind to become wiser, to know better what's going on. Right? So it's not like, oh, we just leave, go into this boundless awareness and then come back and there's the mind still flopping around like a fish out of water in its suffering. So teachings and practices are also there to help ease the mind. And in some ways, Buddha was a really extraordinary psychologist. I mean, he really understood the mind better than psychology. And one of his sets of teachings in these 5 remembrances has to do with training the mind in a way that is in accord with the mind. The ego mind, the ordinary mind, finds comfort in being able to predict and control, to know what to expect. Right? Oftentimes, if we're facing something new, there's some stress and agitation. It's because we don't know what to expect. If we get information, it calms us down because, oh, okay, I know what to expect. So there are practices that are also then aimed at helping the mind to know, hey, what's unfolding here? I mean, that's part of what Buddha's essential teachings were in the 4 Noble Truths. Starting with that, everything's impermanent. And the way the mind clings to things and hoping that they'll last goes into denial about how ephemeral everything is. Well, that's part of what the mind needs to get trained so that it realizes it can have equanimity in the face of change. It can be empowered in its own ways to deal with the ephemeral world and the changes that are bound to happen. And in many ways, you'll see that's what these 5 remembrances are about. And they're from a text of contemplations called the Upajjhatthana Sutra. And, again, the fundamental understanding that Buddha was talking about was everything's impermanent, right? And that with that is everything is the suffering that comes from the mind being attached to ephemeral things. And so that's why life is filled with suffering. He also taught that there's a way to go beyond suffering. There's a way to get free of suffering, and that's the Noble Eightfold Path. As a part of that, we're informing the mind. What's going on here? Right? Let's not dress it up and say, oh, everything's just sweet and lovely and nice. No, it's filled with suffering. We know that. So this is 5 remembrances is another way of helping to inform the mind and teach it what to expect. And that's why it was done as a practice. And the Dalai Lama talked about, he continues to do this practice to this day. It wasn't like it was a practice that got old and then you give it up. No, it's a practice for the mind. And so it helps to steady the mind and empower it to know about life. And it's one of these big life lessons that Buddha put in words and in a teachable form and in a practice that one could repeat and help to inform the mind on a daily basis. And the 5 remembrances are simply, the first one is, I am sure to grow old. I cannot avoid aging. I'm sure to grow old. I cannot avoid aging. Imagine doing that as a 3-year-old. About when Dalai Lama started doing it, and countless other Buddhists around the world. Right? Facing, even in the very bud of youth, no, this is ephemeral. Right? The next remembrance is, I am sure to become ill. Illness cannot be avoided. I am sure to become ill. Illness cannot be avoided. It's part of the nature of the body, is to face illness, old age, decrepitude. It's just part of the reality. Right? So Buddha was very realistic. He says, here, you got to deal with reality. Know that I that is sure to grow old, that I that is sure to become ill, isn't your true nature, but the mind thinks it is. Thinks, hey, wait, that is me. Well then, how about we give to the mind some teachings and truths that help to relieve it, to help it to know what to expect, to be prepared for that. Right? How many people, when they get sick, this isn't fair, no, your body's going to get sick, it's going to grow old, it's going to face these kinds of challenges. So Buddha was very clear about that. The third one is, I am sure to die. I cannot avoid death. I am sure to die. I cannot avoid death. So we come to peace with that. We know that that's part of life. It's not the opposite of life. That is part of the rounds of life and death and life and death. So that little I, identified with the body and the mind, yes, it is going to die. There's no one, not Buddha, not Christ, not anyone, avoids that. That's the outcome of having taken on an ephemeral form, is it's a form that's going to come to an end. So we're prepared for it. It's not a mystery. Right? The fourth remembrance, I will part from all that is dear and all who are beloved to me. I will depart from all that is dear and all who are beloved to me. I will part from all that is dear and all that is beloved to me. That too is part of the journey of life. Some of those partings and separations come early on, some later, some at the very end. But look around. We know that's true for everyone. Right? So the mind that is remembering that is dealing with reality. It's grounded in reality, that this is the mind's reality. I'm still not talking about the boundless, eternal nature of awareness. Other practices are aimed at giving us that experience so that we know who and what we are beyond these ephemeral forms. So they're both. It's not an either or. We need to know our eternal nature as well as what's the nature of this ephemeral instrument, so that we're empowered to really be present with it, understand it, be compassionate to others as they're going through the trials and tribulations, the losses of life. All of that is embraced in the practices. Now we might be doing practices, for instance, when we've chanted the death-defying mantra, the Mahamrityunjaya mantra, Om Trayambakam Yajamahe, that mantra. That's called the death-defying mantra. It's invoking the nature of Shiva to take us beyond death. Well, what is Shiva taking beyond death? Not the body, not the mind, your consciousness. Just Shiva, the auspicious one, your true self, is taking you into the domain where there is no birth and death. It's the eternal domain of consciousness. And the Shakti of that, again, where those boundless qualities of boundless joy, boundless love, boundless being, boundless consciousness reside. So when we abide in that, we come to know that. That helps to inform the mind, helps to free us from the fear that death is going to be some absence of everything. We come to know our infinitude, then we know that is eternal. Sat, that which is the same at all times and all places. This is the root truth. And then the fifth of the remembrances, I am the owner of my action and their consequences. Only my karmas accompany me when I die. My karma is the ground on which I stand. I am the owner of my actions and their consequences. Only my karma accompanies me when I die. My karma is the ground on which I stand. No one else is going to go with us when we die. What's going to go with us is consciousness and the consequences of our actions. So imagine you're practicing that from the time you're a little child. You may be hearing it before you can even say it because your parents are doing it as a practice. You're accountable. You're completely accountable. In ways beyond which ordinary Western thought doesn't even consider. We're accountable for our actions. We're accountable for our thoughts. And so that's why we cultivate being able to act from our highest nature, even if we're not residing in it. Act from compassion, from love, from selflessness, from wisdom, from kindness. Because the consequences of those actions are what accompany us. And we're accountable. In this world where so many people are avoiding accountability on every level, this ancient teaching, no, we're accountable, completely accountable. And no escaping karma. So the 5 remembrances, you can see, they're aimed at transforming the view of the mind. So the mind, rather than going into goes into denial. It goes into denial. It has something, it goes, oh, I have it. It's already thinking, it's going to last forever, or it's already in misery because it knows it's not going to last forever. Because that's the nature of the mind. Whether it's being attached to the body, whether it's being attached to loved ones or comforts or whatever it may be, these are all ephemeral. So the 5 remembrances become a fundamental way for the mind to come to terms with this is the reality in which we live, right? And the reality of the mind and body, and the consciousness, the sublime Buddha nature that enters this form, knows this. This is an expression of your Buddha nature. This is an expression of your Buddha mind. So the Buddha mind, in a sense, is through these remembrances, these 5 remembrances, is sort of reaching out with compassion for the ordinary mind and say, here, we know you like to be able to predict and know what to expect. It eases the way forward. It's true for everyone. So here are these 5 remembrances that can be kind of guideposts and help the mind be wise in how it treads its journey through this life. Remembering this, remembering it's true for everyone. I am sure to grow old. I cannot avoid aging. I am sure to become ill. Illness cannot be avoided. I'm sure to die. I cannot avoid death. I will part from all that is dear and all who are beloved to me. I am the owner of my actions and their consequences. Only my karma accompanies me when I die. My karma is the ground upon which I stand. So infused with the wisdom of the 5 remembrances, we can be more skillful in our being mindful and present throughout the day. Because we have this much bigger context, much bigger view. Because as we're looking at the 5 remembrances and practicing them, it's also helping to invoke our Buddha mind, our boundless mind, our boundless awareness is present. Because it's the source of this wisdom. And then it helps to support the mind and body on their journey through this ephemeral existence, moving towards greater fullness of awareness of the truth of who we are and the truth of what all beings and all creation is, the unfolding of the infinite, held in the embrace of the divine, resting in that. So we do the 5 remembrances, and you can practice these. I'll put them up on the Anamkara website, so if you want to download them, you can. But if you Google the 5 remembrances, I have no doubt you'll find any number of different versions of them, all very similar. But another kind of practice to help attune the mind to the wisdom of knowing what this ephemeral world is about and how the mind and body move through that. And you can see that's quite different than when we get to the Heart Sutra, the Bhagavati Mahaprajna Paramita Hridaya Sutra, Bhagavati, the great goddess. And this Mahaprajna Paramita, this greatest of wisdom. It's the wisdom that's beyond everything, beyond all words, all forms, all dualities, all pairs of opposites, everything. Right? It's called the great goddess, Bhagavati, because it is she who gives birth to everything and gives birth to this wisdom. So we call upon her. So it says all Buddhas are born by her, by that wisdom. She's the wisdom mother. She's also known as Tara. So we receive the blessings of Tara through this practice as well. And of course we have red Tara and black Tara. We have Buddha. We have green Tara. We have Parvati. We have the Holy Mother Mary. All these divine feminine forms right there. And Mahakali, all blessing us, all different forms, faces of the one infinite feminine face of the divine. Well, it's she who unfolds this Heart Sutra in the consciousness of Buddha. Right? So as we chant the Heart Sutra, we're entering that wisdom stream. These words. These words are the wisdom stream of the Mother. They're Saraswati Devi, she who flows. She who pours her grace over us to bring us to that place free of suffering. This is the path of mystics, wanting to know the infinite, wanting to know God, Goddess, Ma, call her it what you will. This is the path of mystics. We go beyond reason. We go beyond stress management. We go beyond productivity. Anything like that. This is the path of mystics. This is the path of direct knowing. Oh, we can only know what we dissolve into. We dissolve into the river of wisdom that flows through this. That's what's alive in these things. So when we come to know that, it's like, oh, we're just being awash in grace, awash in the love of the divine, that reaches out and says, I want you to be free. Here, take a hold of this. This is a life preserver. Take a hold of this. I'll reel you into pure being. So when we do this chant, that's what we're doing. We're entering that river of the infinite to be awash with the grace that it clears the mind of wrong understanding, clears the mind of ignorance, carries us back to our boundless love, compassion, our boundless wisdom, our steadiness in the face of anything. Even death, even our own death. These are the gifts of these practices. So we approach him with that kind of depth of understanding and reverence and awe at what's in these that we can receive, the gifts that are present that we can receive. So we'll do the Heart Sutra now, and the way we do it is, we say it aloud 3 times through the whole text, and by running that text, running these words through the mind, it's helping to purify the wrong understandings, the contracted understandings, the misperceptions, the concepts that bind us. So it's helping to transform those and open the gateway to that pure spaciousness, the boundlessness of being. That's what Buddha wanted to give everyone. So as we run through this, we'll say it aloud 3 times, and at the end comes the summary mantra of the Heart Sutra, the Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Swaha. Gone, gone, gone beyond, completely beyond. Hail the goer, the Bodhi, that's you. So more to be, Swaha. And then we'll just rest. We'll just rest in the stillness, in the silence, in the spaciousness of being. Informed now by these sublime truths that Buddha has passed on, so that even as we're sitting there, things will arise, thoughts will come and go, sounds will come and go. They're empty, they're ephemeral, they're impermanent. We just watch them as the play of the skandhas, the 5 skandhas that Buddha talked about. The 5 heaps, the 5 lumps of stuff. Doesn't matter if there's 1 lump, 5 lumps, they're just lumps. Even calling them 5 skandhas is another lump. It's just the nature of words. Words, they're lumps in themselves. They're very contracted, gross forms of energy. So even when they try to point beyond themselves, they struggle. They struggle. But as we're sitting in the stillness and just watching the play, we watch from that place of infinitude of being. We watch, this is ephemeral, that's ephemeral. The feeling, the thought, the image, whatever it might be. It's going to come, it's going to go, it's going to come, it's going to go. We don't have to fight with it, we don't have to push it down, we don't have to, you're just watching from farther and farther away. Because it's as if you're falling back into the divine embrace, falling back into your infinite, boundless being. So who cares if there's things floating out there as thoughts or feelings, minds, perceptions, limited consciousness? Doesn't matter. Just keep letting go and letting go. Letting go into what's beyond words. It's beyond duality and non-duality. It's beyond one and many. Beyond. Beyond. That's why it ends with Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhi Swaha. Gone, gone, gone beyond, fully beyond. There. Come to rest in that. And you can face anything that arises in the ephemeral world. Then you know true freedom, and true compassion, and true love, true wisdom, true steadiness. So, now we'll begin. I'm going to go through it out loud 3 times. Then we'll keep repeating the gate, gate, paragate with a drum. And then swaha, everything into the stillness. Here we begin. Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, coursing through deep prajna paramita, clearly saw that all 5 skandhas are empty, transforming all suffering and distress. Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is exactly emptiness, emptiness exactly form. Sensation, thought, impulse, consciousness are also like this. Shariputra, all things are marked by emptiness, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, without gain, without loss. Therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no sensation, thought, impulse, consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. No color, sound, smell, taste, touch, object of thought. No realm of sight to no realm of thought. No ignorance, and also no ending of ignorance, to no old age and death, and also no ending of old age and death. No suffering, and also no source of suffering. No annihilation, no path. No wisdom, also no attainment. Having nothing to attain, bodhisattvas live prajna paramita, with no hindrance in the mind. No hindrance, thus no fear. Far beyond delusive thinking, they attain complete nirvana. All Buddhas, past, present, and future, live prajna paramita, and thus attain anuttara samyak sambuddhi. Therefore know that prajna paramita is the great mantra, the wisdom mantra, the unsurpassed mantra, the supreme mantra, which completely removes all suffering. This is truth, not deception. Therefore, set forth the prajna paramita mantra. Set forth this mantra and say, Gate, gate, paragate, parasam gate, bodhi swaha. Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, coursing through deep prajna paramita, clearly saw that all 5 skandhas are empty, transforming all suffering and distress. Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is exactly emptiness, emptiness exactly form. Sensation, thought, impulse, consciousness are also like this. Shariputra, all things are marked by emptiness, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, without gain, without loss. Therefore in emptiness there is no form, no sensation, thought, impulse, consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. No color, sound, smell, taste, touch, object of thought. No realm of sight to no realm of thought. No ignorance, and also no ending of ignorance, to no old age and death, and also no ending of old age and death. No suffering, and also no source of suffering. No annihilation, no path. No wisdom, also no attainment. Having nothing to attain, bodhisattvas live prajna paramita with no hindrance in the mind. No hindrance, thus no fear. Far beyond delusive thinking, they attain complete nirvana. All Buddhas, past, present, and future, live prajna paramita, and thus attain anuttara samyak sambuddhi. Therefore know that prajna paramita is the great mantra, the wisdom mantra, the unsurpassed mantra, the supreme mantra, which completely removes all suffering. This is truth, not deception. Therefore set forth the prajna paramita mantra. Set forth this mantra and say, Gate, gate, paragate, parasam gate, bodhi swaha. Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, coursing through deep prajna paramita, clearly saw that all 5 skandhas are empty, transforming all suffering and distress. Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is exactly emptiness, emptiness exactly form. Sensation, thought, impulse, consciousness are also like this. Shariputra, all things are marked by emptiness, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, without gain, without loss. Therefore in emptiness there is no form, no sensation, thought, impulse, consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. No color, sound, smell, taste, touch, object of thought. No realm of sight to no realm of thought. no ignorance and also no ending of ignorance, to no old age and death and also no ending of old age and death, no suffering and also no source of suffering, no annihilation, no path, no wisdom, also no attainment. Having nothing to attain, bodhisattvas live prajnaparamita with no hindrance in the mind. No hindrance, thus no fear. Far beyond delusive thinking, they attain complete nirvana. All Buddhas, past, present, and future, live prajnaparamita and thus attain anuttara samyak sambodhi. Therefore know that prajnaparamita is the great mantra, the wisdom mantra, the unsurpassed mantra, the supreme mantra, which completely removes all suffering. This is truth, not deception. Therefore, set forth the prajnaparamita mantra. Set forth this mantra and say, Gate, gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhi swaha. 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 Gate, gate, paragate, parasangate, 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 bodhi swaha. Now, just resting in that stillness, just watching, coursing through deep prajnaparamita. It's a deep wisdom, knowing all you see, all you perceive, everything empty of solid existence, ephemeral. Just watching the arising and subsiding of all these forms, and shifting our attention to the boundlessness of awareness, the spaciousness of awareness, within which all forms arise and subside, like sparks flying off a fire in the night sky, while you simply watch, calm and steady, detached and aware, resting in the truth of who you are. Ture Soha. Om Tare Tuttare 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 Ture Soha. So we end with this prayer, and may all our practices truly benefit everyone, and may all beings know complete freedom from suffering. Namaste. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Hail, hail to the jewel in the lotus. The jewel is you. The lotus is the world. You are that diamond. Know your radiance and your brilliance. You have all the light of love, of compassion, of wisdom, of grace to shine into your life wherever you may be, whoever you may encounter. It's your nature. So keep coming home to that. Keep letting go of all that's ephemeral, all those 5 skandhas we keep getting identified with, considering them to be real, and caught in that drama. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Come home to the truth, and walk that truth into the world. That's our calling. Carry this into the world for all. So thank you. Thank you for being ones who practice this, who walk this into the world, who are committed to it and live it. Thank you for coming this evening and bringing the power of your practice and your commitment to our Sangha tonight. Thank you. And thank you for the many ways that you support Anamkar and sharing our offerings, the e-newsletters, the videos. And thank you for the donations that make it all possible as well. With all my heart, thank you. And I look forward to seeing you next week.